Hey guys, AJ Richmond here from Richmond Law Firm, and I'm getting a lot of questions about what happens after a plea or trial. What is the paperwork I get? What does it look like? And I was thinking about it. Lawyers, clerks, judges, prosecutors, we all know what this looks like. But the very first time a client lays eyes on this paperwork, there's a lot of confusing aspects, particularly the fees associated with criminal cases. They are not just what the fines are. The fines are almost the least amount of money. So let me show you what all this means. So right here we have a general sentence sheet. And what that means is this is a sheet that the judge will write in, and it'll say Superior Court of your county in the state of Georgia versus you, the criminal action number, which is your case number. And then right here is where your sentence will be. So for example, it'll say a DUI, it'll say guilty, the sentence, and then there's a lot of terms here like high and aggravated. These all have legal meanings behind them. But what I wanted to really show you was the substance. So sometimes the lawyer or the prosecutor may say, or even the judge, you're going to do some community service, you're going to get some evaluations, or if it's a theft case, you'll pay back restitution, you'll take some classes, things like that. But really the meat of your sentence is in all these terms that the judge doesn't go over with you. So for example, every single sentence in Georgia has what's called general conditions of probation. So you can't get arrested when you're on probation. But even more than that, you really can't violate criminal laws. So you can't speed, run a stop sign, failure to maintain lane. Like those traffic offenses are criminal. Avoid pretty much bad habits. Drinking is what the court really means about that. But number 3, avoid persons and places of disreputable or harmful character. Meaning if any of your friends are on probation or they were on probation, or maybe they're a convicted felon, you're not supposed to be hanging out with them at all. In fact, you're supposed to avoid them. Number 5, work. Right? You have to get a job if it's possible. And by that, you better be sick because of COVID and in bed, because a judge can technically violate you for not having a job. You can't move. If you live at 123 Main Street when you're on probation and you want to move down the street, your lawyer has to tell you you are not allowed to move unless the judge allows you to do it. And specifically for those people, especially now where they're in Georgia and they want to move to Colorado, Washington, California, New York, you can't leave outside of the court or outside of the state without permission of the probation officer. If you're allowed to travel, you have to agree to waive extradition. So before you even take that trip to Disney World or to the Keys or to Maine or to overseas, there's forms. You got to get permission. You have to support your children. So if you're on probation and you're already paying child support from a divorce and you fail to make that child support payment, not only are you potentially in contempt of court from the civil case, but the criminal case can put you in jail for violation of a general condition. Then we get into the fines. So one of the biggest things is if you're representing an indigent person or a public defender client, they must pay the $50 fee unless it's waived. And if you're either an indigent client or a retained client, number 1, the defendant shall pay probation supervision fees. And we're going to come right back to that in a minute. But these fees are huge. Okay, these are fees that very few lawyers will tell you about. Frankly, because the lawyers may either forget or just don't know, or it's just sort of custom that we as lawyers think that clients know, hey, in addition to all this other stuff you're paying, you got to pay probation. Probation is not free. They are private, most of them, and they need money to operate. And guess where they're getting their operating funds from? You. And let me just scroll down here. Firearms. Domestic violence crimes. You can't have guns. You can't. It's a violation of state law, your sentence, and it's a violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 922, which is a federal law. You can't possess guns, ammunition, weapons. You just can't if it's a domestic violence case. And of course, if it's a felony case, right, terms exceeding 1 year, so felonies exceed 1 year, you can't possess the same weapons as well, and that would be a crime as well. So what happens is you plead guilty, you're found guilty, and the probation officer comes and they make you sign right here, thinking that you read all of this, right? This isn't even your sentence. This is just what's on the form to begin with. And you probably have no idea what it says right here. But this fee, we're talking approximately $50 a month, 50, per month, times 12. Okay? So at roughly $600 more is tacked on to your case as an add-on because you're on probation. And that's just probation fees. We're going to talk about in another segment fines. And when a lawyer tells you you're going to pay $500 in fines, that's not $500. That's approximately $1,000. And then each count has fines. And each of those fines have, again, add-ons going to all different organizations. But in this segment, probation, you will pay approximately $600 more as soon as you plead guilty or are found guilty, just to probation to supervise you. So, what you should do is ask for early termination when you're on probation. Ask the judge at the time of sentencing. Ask your attorney to ask the judge, hey, if I'm good and I get everything done and there's no need to supervise me, can I terminate my probation early to avoid paying the fee? And if they say no, then ask them, can I at least go what's called non-reporting, or as it's described out right here, waive the cost of the probation supervision fee for the remainder of the 6 months. That will save you money. And it's a lot of money, but it will save you from paying for a service that you don't need and that may be more expensive than it should be. So my next segment, we'll talk about fines. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. But please, when you go over your sentence or your plea offer, or even the possible criminal case after trial, you need to remember that the court will impose general conditions of probation. And they're all spelled out for you. They're all the same. But you can't violate the law. You may lose some of your friends, but particularly you won't be able to move, travel, or change addresses without permission from the probation officer. And getting that permission, I will tell you, will be very, very difficult. So if you have any questions, please let me know.